There has been a revelation on the football forecast panel. We're just talking in between the break, and then someone to my right comes out with something to do with Enzo Maresca. So I'm going to give you the floor, and you just give us your thoughts. I feel like you need this rant.
There was a point where Chelsea, before the Everton game, if Chelsea won the Everton game, which we ended up drawing, Chelsea would have gone above Liverpool just momentarily in the Premier League. Chelsea now 17 points off of Liverpool. It's the last 2 or 3 months has been eye-opening. And Chelsea fans, of course, has planned protests on the 25th because fans are apparently unhappy with the way the club's being run. The same fans, and I don't care what anybody says, your away fans are your core fan base, right? After Chelsea beat Southampton away from home, after Chelsea beat Spurs away from home, those same fans were in the stand singing, "We've got our Chelsea back." When Chelsea lost against Brighton last weekend, singing, "I want my Chelsea back," or "We want our Chelsea back." I'm sorry, these results have been abhorrent. These results have been terrible. And what takes the biscuit for me is Enzo Maresca, a man that I've backed this season. I think he exceeded the expectations at the beginning of the season, got some big results, built momentum, got the fans on side, and battered away the idea of Chelsea being in the title race because we weren't. And he was right. Evidently, we're not in the title race. And Chelsea fans could understand that. At least I could understand that because after finishing 12th and then 6th, we don't expect Chelsea to go and challenge for the title. But recently, he's been asked about qualifying for the Champions League because obviously that's in jeopardy right now. And he said the remit is not to finish in the Champions League places this season. That's for next season. I'm so sorry, but if you're a Chelsea manager and your remit, as an absolute minimum, is not to finish in the Champions League places, you should no longer be a Chelsea manager. And that has sent me doolally. I can't believe that I even heard a Chelsea manager say that. If Roman Abramovich was still the manager, still the owner of Chelsea, he'd be sacked instantly. I'm sorry, but there are standards. Pochettino last season finished 6th. This year, I think we've got a pretty good idea that the top 5 teams in the Premier League qualify for the Champions League. So you're telling me that you don't think you can finish above 6th in the Premier League, the same position that Pochettino finished last year, and he doesn't have a job anymore. I'm sorry, but you need to go. Poch also got to a Carling Cup or Carabao Cup final and an FA Cup semi-final. We're out of both those competitions. Still in the Conference League, but no Chelsea fan cares about that. I'm sorry, but the words I'm hearing from Enzo Maresca right now, it's almost a sackable offence. And as a Chelsea fan, as most Chelsea fans are starting to do, the natives are starting to turn because this is not good enough.
I think it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because at the beginning of the season, even like 3 months into the season, I was saying, yeah, Chelsea do genuinely have a good chance at the title. And then Maresca came out and said, no, we're not title contenders. And I think there's an interesting psychological thing that happens there. It either relieves the pressure from your players or it gives them a little bit of sense of doubt and they think, okay, well, we're obviously not that good. And their standards actually dropped massively since he said that. So for him to then double down on it, but take away the next stage, which is a top 4 finish, cannot be positive whatsoever. It can't have a positive effect. And I think what you mentioned there about Roman Abramovich, what Chelsea were to this mentality now is a complete white and black. And when you have a squad that's worth £1 billion, you cannot be saying that the minimum requirement is not finishing in Europe. The minimum requirement with a squad of that quality should be trying to win the league. I know it's a juvenile squad. I know he's only had a few months in the job, but that's not acceptable. And shades of last year with Leicester. All Leicester fans warned you. He starts really strong and then he tapers off to the end, and that is what's happening now.
Here's a question for you then.
Go on.
I want to be careful because I feel like Kweku was going to throw everything in front of me at me. A couple of things. You said at the start of the season it was exceeding expectation.
Yeah.
And I think that might have... Now, you're a pretty well-rounded fan, but generally, I think Chelsea fans started to go, oh no, like, we're going to compete for the league next year. I still think at that point you were quite far away from ever competing for a league in the next couple of years because Arsenal and Liverpool are the standard and they're so far ahead of Chelsea, as you've seen in these results where you've dropped 17 points, Liverpool have gained 17 on you. And then you also said about Enzo saying that top 4 is not the remit. I think he's a manager that tries to play pragmatic in the press, and he did this at Leicester. Leicester, I think, were like 12 points clear in the Championship, and he was saying, nah, like, we're not favourites. Like, we're not going to win this league. He obviously did it when he said we're not title contenders. And to be fair to him, Cole Palmer rolled his eyes when he was asked a question around a similar time. Noni Madueke did the same. I think someone else did the same as well. So what if he's just being pragmatic? Like, he's just being safe as a manager, and that's the tone he wants to take?
I completely understand the title challenges things. I completely understand that. Like you say, I feel like I'm a logical Chelsea fan. But to say that the goal is not to finish in the top 4, that's you basically admitting right now that you believe that, or not even top 4, sorry, top 5, that you believe that Nottingham Forest are going to finish ahead of us. You think that Bournemouth are going to finish ahead of us. That is what you're telling me right now when you're saying that the remit's not to qualify for the Champions League.
But Forest probably will finish above you.
That shouldn't happen. That's totally unacceptable.
But they've been better than you this season. They'll finish above Man City. They'll finish above Newcastle as well.
Man City are off the back of winning 4 titles in a row. Pep has got as much leeway as anybody in Premier League history. I'm sorry, Enzo Maresca, this is your very first season as Chelsea manager. And the difference between Chelsea and a lot of other football clubs, I say a lot of other football clubs, between maybe Liverpool, Arsenal and Manchester United, is that at those clubs, you have to win playing a certain type of way. At Chelsea, it is only about results. There's a reason why the managers that Chelsea fans have the most affinity for are Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, Thomas Tuchel. It's not about the style of play. It's about getting results. And unfortunately for Enzo Maresca, he probably plays the most progressive football that we've seen at Stamford Bridge since Mauricio Sarri, who Chelsea fans hated, even though he finished third and won a trophy. It's about getting results. And when you go out of the Carabao Cup with a whimper against Newcastle, you go out of the FA Cup in terrible fashion against Brighton, I'm sorry, but fans are going to start to turn. And for Enzo Maresca to come out and almost try and deflect and almost try and negate any responsibility, for me, it's not acceptable. And if Chelsea continue this form, he will not be in a job beyond the summer because Chelsea fans will turn, and they've already started to turn.